former advisor to President Bush, Brad Blakeman, and Emily Ekins, the director for polling for the Cato Institute. Good to have both of you guys. You know, Brad, I'm curious your thoughts on just exactly what would happen if Donald Trump is to win this race. If he actually manages on Tuesday to get to the Oval Office, and increasingly it's looking like he has got a shot as the polls narrow, what will people say about Hillary Clinton? In other words, what went wrong for her?
What went wrong is the fact that finally their crimes and their corruption has caught up with them. For 30 years they've been dodging investigation after investigation, and the American people, I think, have finally had enough. You know, a criminal can only get away with things for so long, and then what trips them up is themselves. These emails, all self-inflicted, all very damaging, and the American people, I think, after 30 years will say to Hillary Clinton, no more. You know, and Donald Trump, on the other hand, comes in, and he's going to shake things up like this town has never seen before.
Right. He represents something entirely different, clearly, to people. Emily, as you watch these polls right now and you increasingly see Donald Trump gain this momentum, what do you say is the underlying reason?
Well, I think there's two things going on. First, Donald Trump, for once, is staying on a message. Think about it. Over the past 2 weeks, we have not heard him make a disparaging remark about a block of voters. And surely we are seeing the polls rising in many of these key battleground states. The other thing that I think is really playing out here is that this race actually favors the Republican presidential candidate. And the reason why I say that is that forecasting models that are based on just economic indicators like GDP growth, labor participation rate, things like that, show that a Republican should be winning the presidency this November. So Donald Trump has generally been underperforming where he should be, but now that he's staying on message, we see him finally coming back in the polls.
Is it him staying on message, but also the fact that, Brad, the news curve clearly isn't on her side as people learn more and more about the corruption that may have been happening, certainly when it comes to the Clinton Foundation, and then, of course, the increasing concerns about her private email server.
Sure, I think it's a combination of bad news for Hillary in the closing days, but also by Donald Trump staying on message, he's really driving home the points that were just made. Are you better off today than you were 4 or 8 years ago? The answer is clearly no. And Donald Trump's talking about Obamacare. Everybody's getting their notices in the mail. I did. My premiums are going up. The people in Arizona, a battleground state, over 100%. And then Donald Trump is talking about the ability to serve. Hillary is going to be damaged from day one. No honeymoon. There's going to be a hangover. And Donald Trump's going to come in and turn Washington on its head. You
know, you're talking about the economic issues that are really the underpinning of this entire election. And the Americans kind of had enough in terms of this bleak, anemic economic environment we're living in. And take a look at the Fox News poll, which, by the way, shows just a 2-point difference between these two candidates. But when it comes to who is better on the economy, 52% say Donald Trump, 44% say Hillary Clinton. Emily, might this be a deciding factor on Tuesday?
I think it probably is not. And the reason why I say that is that voters always say that the economy and jobs are the most important issues to them, and that they often will tell you that they think the Republican candidate is better able to handle the economy than the Democrat. But they often will still vote for the Democratic candidate. Think back to 2012. We saw the same thing happen. Voters thought Mitt Romney, the Republican candidate, would do better with the economy.
I know where you're going on this, Emily, but comparing Mitt Romney and Donald Trump, I mean, that's real apples to oranges. I always say, look, Mitt Romney needed a whole lot more Donald Trump in him. He should have been proud of all the wealth creation that he generated. He should have been proud about the jobs he created. Instead, he walked around absolutely ashamed that he was in the private equity business and actually managed to make something of himself. Donald Trump is the antithesis of that. In fact, in many ways, Emily, really embodies sort of this aspirational that goes with being an American. You want to see success. You want people to succeed, and you want less regulation so that you can enable people to get there. So wouldn't you admit, Emily, as much as you want to look back on the Mitt Romney days, it's hard. It's hard because the comparison is so different.
I think you're absolutely right. The comparison is different. And I do think the economy really is helping Donald Trump in key states like Ohio and Nevada, particularly Nevada. You have many of the residents there feel like we're still in a recession. And so his message about economic opportunity and making America great again probably is giving him an edge. And if you see in the polls, Donald Trump is doing better than Mitt Romney.
He's closing
in Nevada.
the gap. Yeah, we've got reporters all over these swing states, and I want to get to them in just a minute as we continue to watch Donald Trump here. But lastly, let me just ask Brad. Melania Trump got up and spoke for her husband. There was a nice moment there where her husband leaned over and gave her sort of an impromptu kiss. We haven't seen a whole lot of Melania on the campaign trail. Oh, there you go. There you go. That was it. We haven't seen a whole lot of her. Suddenly now she's making these appearances in the final days, the final moments. Does it help him? Absolutely, it helps. She's a great asset to Donald Trump, unlike Bill Clinton, who seems to put his foot in his mouth every time he makes an appearance. And look, she's a refreshing figure in America. She herself was an immigrant who came to America. She loved America long before she got here. And she's really the aspiration of what people think is possible in America. And she believes that her husband is capable of delivering the promise that was forgotten under the Obama and even the Clinton administrations previous. It's pretty amazing. She speaks 5 languages, which he was quick to point out as she left the podium. Thank you so much. Good to have you guys here.